is a day that you're going to figure out why you suck with women and how you're going to get better at it. Because I got Myron Gaines here, and he's the man over in Miami, and he knows what he's talking about. Some legit stuff here. I've been seeing him on so many places lately, and the reason why is because he knows what he's talking about. So welcome, Myron.
Thank you so much, John, for having me on. As always, it's a pleasure, and I am very happy to be here with the Bulldogs. What's up, man?
Awesome. Yeah. So, I mean, let's just jump right into it. Like, maybe let's just start off talking about why, why so many guys are unsuccessful with women. What do you think is like the main thing that makes guys not have success?
Yo, this is honestly, this is a great question. I think because here's the thing with men that I've noticed. Shout out to John from Modern Life Dating. I coach a lot of guys with John, alongside John, and one of the things that I see all the time when we're coaching our guys, as far as like being more attractive with women, the root problem most of the time is not working volume. And what I mean by working volume is guys aren't getting out there and talking to more women. Guys aren't monopolizing the dating apps like they should be. They aren't leveraging their social status on Instagram or whatever it may be to get leads. And the thing is that for guys to get laid, you got to treat dealing with women kind of like sales. And what I mean by that is you got to get a lot of leads into your funnel. The more leads you get into your funnel, the higher potential you have to convert those leads into sex. Now, I think a lot of guys have an unrealistic expectation of what the conversion rate really is. But let me give you guys a nice little number. 10% means you're world class. Like literally, like 10% means you are a god. Like you are like one of the top 1% of guy dealing with women. So knowing that, it's actually the average guy is probably going to be closing. Let's say you got game, you'll probably be closing around 6 to 7%. So I think once guys understand that reality, that the conversion rate is very small, it's going to make sense why you need to work so much volume to actually be successful. Because a big thing guys make the mistake of is not working volume. And then also on top of that, not understanding that women have a completely different strategy when it comes to dating than you do. You want sex, she wants attention, validation, commitment, resources, all these things. Like a woman's job is to leverage her sexuality against you for as long as she can, so she can siphon off what she wants, whether it's attention, time, money, resources, whatever it may be. Your goal is to get sex as quickly as you can without giving up your attention, resources, time, whatever. The problem is that most guys don't understand this fundamentally and are completely okay with giving off that money, time, resources, attention without getting the sex. And this is why women run circles around guys in the dating game, because men don't understand the fundamentals of their value, which is you need to work volume, and then you need to close deals quickly and not put the woman in an authority position where she can leverage her sexuality against you. And that's where a lot of guys find themselves, where they're chasing a girl that necessarily doesn't look at them the same way sexually, or she's trying to get money out of them or attention or whatever. And then guys get friend zone or whatever it may be. But those are just some of the basics I could think of.
So let's talk about, actually, I want to drill on a couple things here. So first on the volume stuff, I like that you're talking about volume, because this is so important. And I'm gonna demonstrate a number here in a second. But before I do, when you say like 10% close rate, let's say world class, and I agree with you on that, are you talking about for 10% of girls you see and approach? Are you talking about 10% of girls you have some kind of interaction with? Like where are you kind of looking at?
Great question. And let me clarify. 10%, I mean, as in like from you talking to the girl and putting her in your funnel of your date funnel, right? So if you want, like, so when I say 10%, that means 10% close rate, as in like, let's say you talk to 100 girls and you sleep with 10. That's what I mean when I say 10% close rate. Like women that you're talking to romantically, not the chicks that you work with.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But like the women that you're actually dealing with on a romantic level, if you close 10%, you're a god. Literally.
So let's
the world.
Yeah, and I agree with you, right? Because this is like, guys that know this know that this is correct, because there's so much misconception about the chads, like getting any girl that they want and girls throwing themselves at them. So like looking at this in practical terms, because I really want guys to understand this. If you go out to, let's say, a nightclub, right, and you are a god amongst men, right, a 10% close rate man, that means that you're talking to 10 women, and 9 of them have basically rejected you. Like, not really rejected, let's not say rejected, but you did not close the deal, right? So you'd have had to do at least 10 approaches just to get one success. right? And then it's not even guaranteed because that's just your 10% odds, right? You could go 3 nights being a god amongst men, right? And it wouldn't be out of the statistical it wouldn't be out of the realm of probability for you to talk to 30 women, let's say, and have no success.
Absolutely. And I'll say this too, because I think people, when I say this, people are shocked, but I'm going to say it anyway. When I'm in Miami and I'm running night game, obviously pre-beer bug, right? I was easily going 1 for 20 to 40 with closing chicks when I was going out at night. And this would be sometimes over the span of 1 night, 2 nights, whatever maybe. I remember there were times where I would be I would not come home. I was like, I'm not coming home until I get something. I'm out till like 6 o'clock in the morning at Club Space. And Club Space, for anyone that doesn't know, in Miami is a terrible place to be. Bunch of people doing a bunch of stupid things. And I'm just like, because I don't do drugs. So like, I'll be on the dance floor and I'll see someone do coke in front of me. I'm like, all right, I think it's time to go. I might have to hold this L for tonight, or this morning. So, but the thing is that yes, man, like, I think people guys need to fundamentally understand that it is a numbers game, and you got to talk to a lot of women to become successful. So like, and that might mean 1 night you fail, then 1 night you succeed, but like in the whole time span, that 10% typically means you're like a god. So like, I would say most guys that have good game are closing around 6 to 7% that are really good.
Okay. So then even, and this is where I really want to like get people to really understand this, because I'm glad you brought this up as the first point, because it's so important. So let's say that you're closing 5%, right? So you're half as good. You're not a god amongst men, right? You're
still pretty good though.
Right.
5% is still excellent.
So if you're 5%, then you're essentially only half, like Mr. Ultra God amongst men, Chad, is only closing twice as much as you. So if Super Chad guy goes out and he approaches like 2 or 3 women a night, he's looking for choosing signals or whatever, right? So, but you go out and you approach. Let's say he approaches 5, okay? But let's say that you go out and you approach 10. You're going to get just as good results as him. But if you approach 20, you're going to get twice as good results as him, right? So you could just be average dude with good game, and you could get twice the results of Chad just by, it's not even a huge amount increase in volume, right? So that's the thing that I want to point out. And then let's say that you're really shitty, right? Because I think, well, let's say, okay, so we talked about like the god amongst men is about 10%, right? And then you've got like, a guy that's good with game that's maybe like 6 or 7, maybe 5%, somewhere in that range. Now, what about the newbie beginner? Like most of the guys, honestly, that are going to be watching this, what can they realistically expect to hit in terms of percentages, you think?
Probably sub 5. And I wouldn't even say percentages become their problem. Like guys that are new, 9 out of 10 times their chronic issue is not doing enough approaches. Yeah. Because it's such a foreign concept to them that they can't even develop the volume required to get success. And what I mean by that is the newer you are and the less adept you are at how women mate select and everything like that, the more approaches you're going to have to do to like figure it out and get good or whatever. And that's going to take a learning curve. Whereas like if you're good with women, you're going to be able to, you might not have to approach as many women to be able to build that attraction because you're just a little bit more refined. But like when you're just getting out there, figuring it out, you're going to stumble really bad in the beginning. So you're going to have to work actually even more leads. And that kind of contradicts what most new guys have the issue with, which is most new guys are just terrified to approach women in the first place. So, it's going to be even harder for them because that's where most newer guys' problems arise from is approach anxiety, not getting enough leads, talking to women in public, these types of things.
And so would you say like one number I throw out, curious to see what you think about this, is I usually tell guys that are brand new, basically like you're going to have to do 300 approaches to get one result, like to get your first result. That's like, maybe it'll happen faster, but like that's probably a reasonable, like if you haven't done 300.
I think that's a very honest assessment, especially if someone that's a beginner, because the first 50 to 75 is going to be him just stuttering and like sweating and trying to get the heebie-jeebies out of him because, for a lot of guys, I'm not going to lie, like approaching a woman is like feeling anxiety. I always say, if you want to see a man's character, put a really hot girl in front of him and tell him, go approach her and say hello, introduce yourself. And you'll see what that guy's made of immediately.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and it's nothing really to be embarrassed about. I think guys are, you guys are watching because we all went through this. I went through this. I'm sure Myron went through this,
Oh
and
yeah.
even I think even the best, like when you're good and you're not, you're able to do it. You still have some amount of fear. It's not like that fear ever goes away. I think guys tend to think that that's gonna that there's just guys that they're just not afraid, and maybe there's a few guys that are just have never been afraid, but I think it's one of the. I think a lot of guys would rather like face a fucking lion than
Yeah.
a hot girl. So
And I mean, it's a, it's a reasonable fear because, I mean, human beings were social creatures, and, being ostracized from the tribe, thousands of years ago, it's kind of hardwired into us to want to have acceptance from our peers. Right. So getting, back in the day, right, caveman days, if you got, rejected by a woman, there were consequences that you might get exiled from the tribe. You hit on the wrong guy's, wrong caveman's girl, like he tried to kill you, whatever. So there's definitely some type of hardwired fear in approaching the opposite gender because there were some serious consequences before. But the thing is that, we live in modern times now. Things have changed. And for you to be really good with women, you're going to have to get out there and approach them. And I know for a lot of guys, it's a terrifying concept, but I think cold approach is like, if you can master that, it's going to pay dividends in so many different facets in your dating life, whether it's online dating, whatever, because I always tell guys, if you're not good at cold approach and let's say you're a master online game or whatever, you're still going to have to like figure out something, because if you meet the girl in person and you're weird,
yeah.
you're not socially calibrated, and you're not going to get laid anyway. So you're going to have to put in the work and learn this skill of being able to communicate with the opposite gender in a way that's attractive. Because a lot of guys try to make a big mistake where they speak to women the same way they speak with men, which is a huge mistake, because women don't communicate the same way we do. Shout out to Rollo Tomasi. Women do speak covertly. So it's all in the way you convey your ideas or the way you say things, your tonality, etc. I always say it's not what you say, it's how you say and how it's perceived. And that's how women communicate, unfortunately. But a lot of guys make the mistake of speaking to a girl overtly. And I can give you an example of this, right? Mm-hmm. So if I'm with my man, John, right? Obviously, as you guys know, me and John are friends. We talk business, everything like that behind the scenes. I can tell him, hey, I made this amount of money on this day. And he'll ask me, oh, cool. How did you do it? Or vice versa. I'll ask John, how did you make your money? Oh, well, I did it from real estate. I made 70,000 this month. Boom, boom, boom. We crunch the numbers. Oh, awesome. You should start doing this, whatever. With a woman, that's not going to work. I'm not going to, with a woman having that type of conversation, it's even though women like guys that are financially well off, they don't really care how the money was made or the details. They care about the byproducts of money. And what I mean by that, instead of me DHVing to a girl saying like, yeah, I made this much money in the stock market or from real estate, whatever, I'll say, oh yeah, I took a random trip with my friend. We got tired of working. We just took like a week. We went to Dominican Republic. We hung out for a bit, partied. It was great. And then we just came back, whatever. Now, by me saying that, she's able to come to the conclusion on her own that I have expendable income, that I have a life that's pretty lax, where I can do what I want. I'm financially free, etc. I always say this: women don't necessarily care about money. They care about the benefits that come from the money, the freedom that money allows. This is why women love to travel more than men. This is why women are 80% of the consumer base. They just understand that money is a necessary evil to get what they want in life, but they don't necessarily care about the money in itself like men do. Men look at money from like a hierarchy standpoint. Women look at money as more like a means to an end. So that's an example of what I mean when I say you don't want to do overt communication like you would talk with your buddy. You need to do it covertly. So I demonstrate a higher value simply by telling her I took a spontaneous vacation. So now she knows it can conclude in her own mind, this guy has expendable income, therefore he's more attractive, if that makes sense.
Right. Yep. Exactly. I think that's very, very important to understand that the communication style and especially I think also like with the idea of speaking in terms of emotions and stories, that like if I tell you a story as a guy, I'm going to give you the facts of I'm going to be like, okay, or how was my day? Well, I went over here today. I just drove back from this place. I had this, right? Or if it's like you're telling a story to a girl, you should be more in like, I woke up and I was like, it was just like, the sun was coming in through the window and I just didn't get enough sleep and just felt tired. I got in my car, started playing my favorite song, and it was getting, it's like you're telling all the emotions you're going through, the experience, as opposed to, whereas if you tell that story to a guy, he's like, well, just what the
Get
fuck?
to it,
Like,
man.
give me the facts, you know?
Stop being fucking lame. You know, he's gonna be like, get to it. You know, and it's just that I always say this: when men fall in love with their eyes, women fall in love with their ears. This is why dudes lie and girls wear fucking makeup. So, you know, once you understand that, then it'll be easy. I see Solo TB84 in the chat, man. Thank you,
Oh
bro.
yeah, there we go. Let me pop him up here. What's up, Solo man?
Yo,
Good to see you,
Solo
man.
TV,
Appreciate
bro.
it.
What up, my man? Thank you for supporting, dude, as always, bro. Shout out to
And
Solo
then
TV.
we got a super chat here from Digi Nomad. He says, well, before we get to this, I did want to make one point here. I'm going to get to your Digi, which I thought was really good that you said, which was if you don't learn cold approach, because again, I'm very big on this idea of doing cold approach. You're going to go out on a date, and then the thing is, like, you're going to be now with this girl for some period of time, and you can't bail. It's not like, you know what I mean? It's like you got to figure out what to, like, if you don't have the comfort, you know, in a crowded place where there's multiple people and there's multiple opportunities for you to bail or her to bail, right? Like, going on a solo date, you're going to be fucked, right? So
yeah, I always look at it like with cold approaching, or like learning to how to talk to women, whether it's a noisy night game venue, day game, at the grocery store, whatever it may be. It's basically practice, guys, for the main event. You know, you're basically sparring, you know, hitting the bag, practicing, so that when you go into the boxing ring, you know, for 5-10 rounds, whatever it may be, you're prepared to go the distance. You know what I mean? You have the social IQ to, you know, to be able to run the verbal game for a prolonged period of time and maintain attraction for a long period of time. A lot of guys run out of things to say. A lot of guys run out of the ability to you know, to keep that fire hot of attraction over a prolonged period of time. They just run out of things to say, whatever it may be. And then here's the thing you guys got to understand that women will never tell you. If the date succeeds, it's your fault. If the date fails, it's your fault, regardless of how boring she might have been or how she brings nothing to the table. And here's a little thing for you guys, and I know John could speak to this too a little bit. The most attractive women, guys, I hate to say it, a lot of them don't have too much of a personality. So you're going to have to carry the conversation, okay?
Yep.
Because the hottest girls, you know, you ask them a question like, hey, what are your hobbies? They're going to tell you something stupid like, oh, I like to go to the beach, or I like to go shopping, or I like to hang out with friends. And that was good, because then you can kind of like knock her off her pedestal and make fun of her about that. But you got to understand that, like, a lot of them, especially younger hot girls, they don't have much life experience. So they're not going to be able to talk about a lot of things in the world. So more than likely, you're going to have to lead the conversation and kind of almost take a mentor type vibe, which is okay. Because again, when you have again, like we always say, women date up. So if you give off a mentor type vibe and she can learn from you, she's still deferring to your authority. So it's actually an attractive thing. But you know, you just understand that the burden of performance on you guys isn't just, it applies to dating as well. Because if the date sucks, and let's say she was boring as hell, she's still going to blame you for the date sucking. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's a really good point. It is always your responsibility. So you got to figure the shit out, and you got to make the shit happen. And I think another thing that and this, I'd be curious to see how your percentage changes with this, is because, you know, the other thing about cold approach is, like, if you're good at that, then, like, just using online and going on a date is like a slam dunk. It's like easy mode, right? Because it's like, so again, if we go back to your numbers, just to give I've got a number in mind. We'll see what yours is, but you take the 10% guy, right? The God amongst men. And now you take out all the factors of cold approach, of basically the logistics and isolation problem, which you lose. You don't have those factors when you're on a date, because you already got her isolated, and the logistics are going to be as good as you can get, right? Pretty much, right? So now how does that percentage change from 10%? Where would you say that it goes?
now it's going up to about 99, 98% if you know what you're doing to close.
Exactly.
You know, because if you run the date correctly, which I did a podcast last week with my boy Fresh Prince CEO on how to run a date to get the first night late. If you run it correctly, you should close. You know what I mean? And you do everything. You set yourself up to win. When you're basically where you're setting up good logistics, she's coming to you. You're leading the interaction. You know, you're basically handling objections before they even come up. Because I'll say this: when you go on a date with a woman, guys, like a lot of guys look at it like, oh, I'm going on the date like to impress her or whatever. No, incorrect. You're going on a date to destroy any objections that will hold you back from getting laid later. Say that again. You're going on a date to destroy any type of objections that come up when you're trying to have sex later. Because the thing is this, and this is why I don't advocate guys invite girls straight to their place. Because Well, there's a couple reasons for that, but one of the biggest reasons why I don't advocate guys invite a girl straight to their place is because you're not able to build that same sense of high value and attraction as you would as if you were to meet her out in public. Because when she's at your place, she's going to be more concerned with like, is there a boogeyman going to come out the closet? Is this guy going to be crazy? Whatever. Yeah. Instead of being, making it a romantic vibe. And you can't seduce a woman you can't seduce a woman if she feels like her safety is in jeopardy. And that's inevitably going to come if she comes straight to your place. However, when you meet her in public and you're having a drink and you're doing all these things that we talked about on the podcast, where you're showing higher value, you're showing leadership skills, you're showing traits that make you attractive, like such as like, when you're like, one example I always give is like when you're about to cross the street, put your hand in front of her and look left and right, and then say, okay, let's go. And what you basically just did covertly was show her that you care about her safety and you're leading her. So the chances of the likelihood of you being an axe murderer have now been pretty much abolished. You know what I mean? In her mind. And she doesn't even know this overtly. Like it's subconscious now because you took a stake in her safety. So now that the safety objection that she had prior is going to be alleviated. And when you do these things on a date, you're basically building up your social value, you're building up the sexual tension, etc., so that when you bring her back, it's a foregone conclusion that you're going to get laid. So if you run the date correctly, just like we talked about when you're having isolation, optimal, logistics, you're escalating properly, you're touching her, your persona that you gave her before is congruent with what she sees on a date. It's going to be like a 90+% close rate,
Yep, exactly. I agree. I was going to put it at about 95% there, and that just goes to show you guys how much like it's important to develop those cold approach skills, because then everything becomes easy mode for you, because you know how to take interaction, because it's so much harder. It's almost like I think of it as it's like running an obstacle course, right? And that's like cold approach in a nightclub or a bar or something, because you have all these obstacles. You literally have obstacles. You got her friends cock blocking you, you've got her getting drunk and fucking passing out, you've got the DJ distraction, right? Other guys, right? You've got all this shit and the logistics of what's going to happen afterwards, but then it's like you go on a date and it's like the obstacle course just doesn't have any obstacles. How easy will it be to run that course? But if you haven't run the course with all the obstacles, you're not going to know how easy it is. Like you're gonna mess it up. So
yeah, and I think one of the things that like guys always and I admit this, as a guy, I'm a night game guy. I enjoy night game. It's one of my methodologies for sourcing. Obviously pre beer bug. But I tell guys all the time that night game is one of the hardest ways to meet women. It really is. It's the Olympics, especially if you're like in like Vegas, Miami, New York City, etc. You're at a top end club and you're trying to game chicks in there. It's literally the Olympics of the sexual marketplace. You know what I mean? Because everyone is in a night game venue where, quite frankly, the women have all the leverage, they have all the power, and as a man in a nightclub, you are looked at as an expendable commodity. So there's a bunch of factors that are in in your favor for you to lose. You got hating bartender, you got hating bouncers. You got bartenders that are not going to serve you as quickly as you want. You got loud music. You got cock blocking friends, just like John was saying. You got other dudes in there that are simps that don't understand anything about how to properly deal with women. You got so many different factors in there that can hurt you. But I'll tell you this: if you're able to build attraction in nightclubs and get good with talking to women in nightclubs, dude, you're gonna, when you do day game or you do you go on a date or you do online dating, it's easy because you've basically like going back to Dragon Ball Z, it's like training 1,000 times gravity. You know what I mean? Then you go back to Earth, nothing.
Exactly. Yeah, that's why it's such a good thing to develop that skill set, and I think also the skill set just applies in life, because I mean, it's game is hard. Like night game is extremely hard, and you're running the next, it's almost like chess. Like you have the next move while your mouth, hopefully you've got that the mouthpiece, because your mouth needs to be going while you're thinking about the next step, and so that needs to be on autopilot so that you can just say just spew whatever you need to spew in order to like make that next step, because it's always navigating, where am I going from this point? And it's like once you start to develop that skill set, it's like, actually it's good. Like I was just watching Mr. Lucario and the guys
Mr. Lucario, man, another G.
Yeah, and he that documentary that he's got out, by the way, guys, it's badboymembership.com if you want to get it early, just a free plug for him, because it's really good. But
great documentary.
Yeah, I like how the documentary focused on the idea that like game is not just women. It's like how you live your life, like complete like, and so developing that skill allows you to use that in many interactions in life. So
Here, no, I'm still here. I see the chat. People are talking about the camera quality or something like that with me. I'm trying to fix it right now. But go ahead.
okay,
I'm here. I'm here. Go ahead.
yeah, I think it's a bandwidth issue. But while you're working on that, let me hit this super chat here. Did you know, Mad says Myron, elaborate on kids slash vetting foreign excess is fire. I'm not sure if I don't know if you can interpret that, but
I'm
I'm
a little
saying
confused. I'm assuming he means vetting on kids slash vetting like a foreign girl. I hey, did you know, Matt? Please like rephrase the question. We got you though because we know you super chatted and we'll answer it. I'm just a little
yeah.
confused on that question.
Okay.
But yeah, no, man, I definitely, you know, like I agree. So touching on what you were saying, John, about like having things on autopilot. So like, there's things that girls are gonna say to me that I already have a default response because you need to start into because once you start having enough interactions with women, things start to become automatic, and then there tends to be a pattern of questions that women are gonna ask every single time. So you know, one common one is that your pickup line, or do you say this to all the girls or whatever? I'll say something foolish along the lines of, yeah, actually, you know, you're number 1,271. And I tried on my grandma earlier, but it was a little awkward. Something like that, you know, and like just to let her know that, yeah, you know, or if she asks me a question that I don't want to answer, I'll say, I don't answer that question without my attorney present, or I'll say, I don't negotiate with terrorists, something like that. And it's just like automatic responses. And the reason why you need to, you know, build up this repertoire of automatic responses to female shit tests is because when you have these things on autopilot, you can assess other things going on in the room and in the environment that you can make the best decision. And what I always say, this game is nothing more than the ability to assess a situation with the opposite gender that you're physically attracted to, right? And making real-time decisions based on real-time facts coming to you and making the decisions most conducive to you getting laid with or getting some kind of desirable outcome from a romantic standpoint with this woman. And to be able to do this, you need to be able to assess everything. That's why when I say when you first meet a chick, you need to figure out immediately what her logistics are. Hey, where are you staying? Who are you here with? Blah, blah, blah. If she tells you something stupid like, oh yeah, I'm an hour away, I drove down here with my 5 friends, I'm the designated driver, and I'm sober, then you know 9 out of 10 times this is bad logistics. You don't even want to waste your time on this girl. At best, you're a number closer and move on to someone else. But what some guys will do, they'll make the cardinal mistake of sitting there and continuing to talk to this girl that is pretty much a dead lead, you know, because she's showing him some kind of IOI, whatever it may be. But what you don't realize is that you speak to that girl for an hour, 2 hours, whatever, you get her number, she goes back to her friends, you text her the next day, she doesn't respond. Why is that? Well, because you didn't put any type of
put some respect on my name.
You didn't put any respect on your attention. You just sat there and talked to her for 2 hours when she obviously had bad logistics, and you didn't create that scarcity. So she's gonna flake on you because I always say girls love attention. Shout out to Alan Roger Curry. We talked about this on my channel on my podcast, and like girls will sit there and take free attention from you all day if you allow it. So you can't give attention to a girl unless there's some kind of advancement in your romantic endeavors. But a lot of guys will happily give away their attention for the possibility of romance, when in reality, it's got to be the other way around. You don't give attention unless there's an inevitable chance that there's going to be romance. And I think once guys understand that and understand that their attention is their only weapon, that's when they realize, okay, I'm not giving no free attention to no chick that's not going to, you know, give me what I want. But a lot of guys don't understand that dynamic.
Yeah, no, I agree 100%. Especially even, you know, on that mouthpiece part too. Like, I just had a guy that asked me like how to be non-reactive, and the answer is it's just like what you said, is because if a chick says, "Hey, is that your pickup line?" and you're not used to that. Like if someone says that, you know, to you, you know, or me, it's gonna be like your face isn't even gonna make you're not even gonna flinch. You know what I mean? Because you're like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, or maybe you just ignore it. You're like, okay, right, and then you just go on. You know, but if you're not used to that and you don't have those scripts in your head and like you haven't, then you're gonna be reactive. Like, because that's gonna be like you're gonna be like, oh shit, no. You know what I mean? Like you're coming up with something like you're trying to come up with some shit on the fly, and she's got you reacting. But like it's like when she says something like that, and you're like, yeah, that's, you know, I'd say that to all the girls that I meet, or, you know, I mean, I was like, I'd say it to my grandma or whatever. You know, it's like whatever you say if you just have it right off, just on rip right there, then there's no reaction. It's just you're just going with the flow, and then and so many times, like I think that happens. It's like if you're in this conversation and then she says something, and it's like, how do you? The only way to be non-reactive is to actually have heard those things, to be prepared ahead of time, and be able to just go with the flow.
Absolutely. And the other thing too, because I know what some guys are going to say now that we're talking about this, they're going to say, well, what does that mean? You're going to sit there and tolerate disrespect? Well, there's a difference, so there are times where, don't get me wrong, guys, there are times where I've had to put a girl in her place. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure you guys, I know Fresh Prince could definitely talk about this. I don't really tolerate bullshit from women. If a girl treats me rude or anything, I'll call her on that. You know what I mean? But there's a difference between a girl like, playfully trying to tease your frame versus a girl that's just being overtly disrespectful. And you got to see it it's all done. Body language is important, the way she speaks to you, etc. I'm not saying sit here and tolerate BS from women, as you should not. You know what I mean? You definitely do not. If a girl talks reckless to you, you let her know like that. You're not going to tolerate that BS, because at the end of the day, I'll keep it real. A lot of these girls think, are you dumb, stupid, or dumb? Huh? And they'll sit there and try and disrespect you and think that you're going to sit there and take it. And sometimes you got to put your foot down and say, no, fuck you, bitch. Like, this is not how this is going to go. You're not going to talk to me like this, or you'll just turn your back on her and move on and talk to someone else, which I've done that before too. But at the end of the day, guys, it comes down to, you can't take what they say seriously outside of her overtly disrespecting you. And if she overtly disrespects you, you could literally just walk away, go talk to another girl that's hotter than her. You know what I mean? And let her know that she doesn't have any power over you.
Yeah. And a lot of times I think too, what it comes down to is it's like, there's a certain level of what is disrespect based on how familiar you are with a person, right? It's like someone you don't know who you just approach in a nightclub, there should be a high level of what you consider to be disrespect, right? You know what I mean? It's like they don't even know. You can't really disrespect someone you don't even fucking know. So it's like, you could almost play it off as like they're so beneath you that it doesn't even fucking matter at all. So you're just laughing, that's cute, because it should be like your reaction should be, that's cute. Some whatever this airhead chick just thinks just said this cute thing to me. You know what I mean? Like, because you're pretending like you don't even understand what she said, like it's not an insult to you. And then at some point though, I agree. I mean, then maybe she back there and like,
I'll give an example. Like, to me, okay, let's say you bring a girl back to your place and she doesn't want to hook up, right? She doesn't want to have sex. Cool. That's not a problem at all. But she still wants to stay. No, you kick her out. You know what I mean? Because here's the thing you guys got to understand. You got to let a girl know off rip with your actions what will be tolerated and what won't. She absolutely has the right to tell you, no, I don't want to have sex right now. But because everyone forgets the man side, you have every single right to kick her out as well.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. A lot of guys tend to think, oh, well, she didn't want to have sex, so I got to be nice about that and respect it. Absolutely respect it. But understand that you don't have to continue to give her free attention either. You know what I'm saying? So, and here's the other thing too. When you kick her out, her mind is going to be racing like, oh, yo, is he calling another girl? Like what? Because I always tell guys, and I was talking about this yesterday with Rolo, is that if you're high value enough, she can't chance at the fact of withholding sex from you to try to leverage. Because when a girl withholds sex from you, she's trying to leverage her sexuality against you for some kind of return, whether it's money, time, attention, whatever it is. I need to go out on 3 dates, whatever. It doesn't matter. She's still trying to siphon something off of you in exchange for her sexual compliance. You can't sit there and let her basically let her think that that's acceptable. So you kick her out. And the reason why you kick her out is because you're demonstrating that you're not going to tolerate it. You're also demonstrating you have other options. And then you're also demonstrating, most importantly, is that her sex doesn't mean anything to you. And I use the reference. There's this Instagram model. Her name is Selena Powell, which, John, I think you know who she is, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So she's big on Instagram, and she basically me and Donovan did a breakdown on this. Shout out to Donovan Sharp. I'm gonna be on with him this Saturday, guys, at the studio. But long story short, this woman, Selena Powell, she teaches women how to slide in rappers' DMs, right? How to get rappers and athletes, whatever. She had a whole YouTube series on this. And one of the first things she teaches girls that want to slide into a rapper's DMs, she says, listen, if a rapper invites you to his hotel and you go, you better be about it, because if you're not, he's going to kick you out. And I found that fascinating because why is the rapper kicking her out? Well, because he's higher perceived status, and he's not going to sit there and let a woman leverage her sexuality against a high value guy like him. He's going to immediately kick her out and replace her with another woman. Other men, and I want men to take a page out of this book, not necessarily to be rude to women and kick them out, but to understand that you have value too, and you can't let these girls siphon off things from you, right? Attention, time, resource, whatever, and go and bang the next guy. Because you best believe she's with Drake or Future, any of these other guys, she's going to bang them and not ask them for a dinner date or anything like that. So you need to hold yourself to the same standard. That's why it's so important to be high value, because when you're high value, you can basically have these expectations, and if she doesn't comply, you kick her out. She doesn't have to give you sex, but at the same time, she needs to understand there's consequences to that. And you're not going to sit there and wait because you're a high value guy and you have other options. And when you do that, it's a very honest signal of where you stand in a socioeconomic, in a social order. Because most guys will sit there and beg for it or comply with the demands or whatever. But when you don't comply and it's goodbye, she's like, "Whoa, this guy's different. Let me change up a little bit." And then she's gonna have sex with you because the fear of losing you to another woman is gonna override her innate want to siphon more attention and resources from you.
Yep. I agree 100%. And I think one aspect too of it that like I was just talking to a guy that was having problems with like the clothes, and he'd have girls come back and then they LMR him, and a lot of it comes down to just they're not assuming the deal, like assuming the clothes at the, it's like you got to kind of be the guy that's like, okay, if she's coming back, like this is it, like this is, what I mean? Whereas you're still trying to, a lot of guys, I think, and I hear this advice a lot, they're trying to game the girl after they've brought her back, and it's like, no, at that point, like you need to be entitled, right? You need to like really have that sense of entitlement, like, okay, this is already a done deal at this point, rather than because when you're trying, I think sometimes then that also, because if the girl is back there and you're like, okay, you're putting on the music, like you're doing all these things, she's now in her head like, okay, this guy, I know what this guy's up to, I know what he's trying to do. So now you're just like you said, like where you're throwing him out, you're saying your sex doesn't have any value. When you're doing the other things, now you're reinforcing the idea that it has value, and now she's like, okay, I have something here, I have some leverage, like I'm trying to, I know what he's trying to do, so now I can play the counter move. Whereas if you're very entitled and it's like, okay, this is what we're here for, I think that you don't end up pushing it that direction, where you don't give her that power.
Yeah, and I'll say this too, John, because you just brought up something like really excellent. And yo, you guys need to like the video, man, because me and John are giving you guys classes in session right now, man. So, all right. So, I think a big mistake that guys make is that they don't assume the sale, which is just what you were talking about. Because here's the thing you guys got to understand: when you go on a date or when you're dealing with a woman from a sexual standpoint, you need to change your name to plausible deniability. Okay.
Right. Exactly.
First name plausible, last name deniability. Because the thing is this, again, this is going to sound politically incorrect, but it's just the reality of the way women deal with men. Women don't want to have any type of accountability when it comes to sexual advancements in the relationship.
Yeah.
They don't. They want you to be the dominant one that leads the interaction, that makes all the sexual advances. And they want to be able to always say it just happened, or it was natural, it was organic, whatever it may be, right? Just the romance just happened, right? Because here's the thing, and this is where a lot of guys make the mistake. Some guys will sit there, and I had a consultation with a client before that has talked to me about this. Like they'll ask, "Can I do this? Can I do that? Whatever it may be." And whenever you do that, right, you're basically you whenever you put the woman in the driver's seat to escalate the sexuality, she's never going to hit the gas. And the reason why she's never going to hit the gas is because a woman never wants to be responsible for anything that might make her look like a slut.
Exactly.
For example, you go on a date with a girl, everything is going well, escalation, all this crap. You get her back to your place, the clothes are coming off, everything is nice and steamy, right? Like it's just, all kinds of romance. Right?
There we go. That's the music that you should always play, by the way. So,
that's all you guys need to play.
You should have a soundboard, right? It's like you're making the clothes come off and you're like, bam, Push a button.
So you got everything going on, right? And then you do this stupid shit. You're like, hey, do you mind if I take off your clothes, or do you mind if I like put it in or whatever? And then next thing you know, just you know what's going to happen? Attraction is going to be killed, because what you've just demonstrated is that, one, you lack confidence, two, you don't take ownership, and then three, worst of all, you're putting her in the decision-making spot where now she has to make a decision that is going to make her look like a hoe. She doesn't want to be responsible for that. You need to be responsible for that. You need to be the one that advances everything. This is why women don't hit on men, guys. This is why women rarely come up to you and approach. Number one, a fear of rejection, but at the same time, they don't want to come off as hoes. You guys got to understand, like, a woman's image in her mind is she does everything in her power to not look as lower value, AKA promiscuous. And her doing any type of actions that further that perpetuate the furtherance of sex is going to be a huge turnoff for her, because that's not her position. That's why you can't ever defer to a woman's authority or ask, is this okay? Blah, blah, blah. Like, it's got to be implied. This is what we said earlier in the beginning of the podcast, me and John. Women communicate covertly, guys, not overtly like we do. So as soon as you make an overt statement in regards to sex, bro, it's going to be,
stupid.
You're done. So
in fact, a lot of times you're going to get the whole like, we shouldn't be doing this, right? She's going to actually like tell you something like that, and you need to say, that's right, we shouldn't be doing this, and then keep doing it, right? It's like because she's going to want to like say that she said, put up some kind of resistance to it, because then she'll feel better about it. So whatever she says, you don't fight it. You just go, or same thing, like, a girl will be like, oh, we're not, just so you know, we're not having sex tonight. And then your response should be like, of course we're not having sex tonight. I don't know what kind of guy you think I am, or like, just don't be like, we'll see.
Yeah.
That'll fuck you over so bad. But you just keep on advancing while playing along with whatever she's saying, because she's just trying to give you that token resistance so that she doesn't appear super easy, or that she doesn't think, or again, then what'll come up is like, how many girls do you do this with, or how many girls have come over here, or whatever it is. Again, then you have to just play it smooth and be like, I don't know, you're like the third one tonight, or whatever you want to say, like make it silly, or but just don't seriously answer that question and just keep on moving forward. But
yeah, no, I mean, it's just, like I said, women never want to be responsible for the sex happening, because it hurts their own thing. And I think the thing I want the viewers to understand is this, when it comes to dealing with women, and it's going to make everything else come a lot clearer when you're on a date with her and the way she communicates with you. Women are purity dealers. And what I mean by that is that she's going to always sell you, no matter how promiscuous she is or how much she gets down, she's always going to sell you purity. And the reason why, and women do this naturally, they do it without even like noticing it. The reason why I call women purity dealers is because they know deep down their ability to lock down a high value guy is contingent upon their ability to sell you some kind of purity. Because women know deep down that if they are super promiscuous and it's out there, it's going to limit their ability to attract the highest value guys.
For sure.
So they have, as like, for their reproductive strategy to work and be successful, they have to sell you purity. Now, let's say on the other end with men sell success. Okay. Right. Hey, I do this. This is my career, or this is the car I drive. Whether you do it overtly or covertly, men sell success. That's just how it is. So once you understand, the game that each gender is playing, it's going to be a lot easier for you to prepare yourself for the sexual judo that's going to come when you go on a date with her. Because she's going to try to, she's going to tell you all these things like, I don't do that, or that. She might try to shame other women in front of you, like, oh, look at how she's dressed. She looks like a slut. Or, oh, I don't know why girls act like that. Or OnlyFans is for bimbos, or whatever. She's going to say these things. She's going to virtue signal these things to you, because she doesn't want you to think that she's a hoe, because that's what women do. They sell purity because they know that it's critical to their strategy. Now, with that said, if you're smart, you're going to know that this is going to come, and you're going to deal with those objections beforehand. And what I like to do when I'm on dates is I downplay sex a lot. I downplay it to the point where it's like, yo, it's not, it's like, I kind of, And this is what I'm saying. Like when you go on a date, you're going on a date not necessarily to impress her. You're going on a date to handle objections that are going to inevitably come when you deal with women. So what I'll do is I'll downplay sex. I'll be like, yeah, it's not that serious. When I first moved here, I got into a lot of one-night stands, a lot of hookups, whatever it may be, which is true. But I'm looking for a girl that like, that I can like hang out with that isn't annoying, which is true. And when I say that, what am I doing? Well, I'm demonstrating higher value because I'm showing a little bit of pre-selection, right? Then I'm also showing that sex isn't that big a deal to me. And then most importantly, I'm letting her know that I don't necessarily judge women for having sex quickly. And that, because the thing is this, most men are beta males. Let's just keep it 100. Most guys are beta males. And one of the telltale signs that a guy's a beta male is that they don't understand that women are very sexual creatures. They think women are, you know what I'm saying?
That reminds me of Californication. Whenever I hear that, I'm like, that opening scene, right? The opening.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they think that women are just,
Perfect.
And they can do no wrong. They're sugar and spice and everything nice, and they're not getting down. Guys that are good with women fundamentally understand that women have way more sexual access than men do. And more than likely, they're probably getting more action than you are. And they accept that and they don't judge women for it. You know what I'm saying? So if you can create that frame where you're not a judgmental guy, it's normal for you to be around hot women. It's normal for you to get sex quickly. It's common and you don't judge her for it. She is going to be way more open to getting sexual with you in the beginning. You know what I mean? And she's going to turn that purity dealer thing that we were talking about, like how women are purity dealers. She's going to turn that back a bit because she's not going to have to put that facade that I'm sugar and spice and everything nice. It's hard if she knows that you're pre-selected and you deal with chicks regularly. You know what I'm saying? She knows she can't pull the wool over your eyes. So this is why I say when you go on dates, a lot of the time you're just handling objections covertly without her even knowing it.
Yeah, and I think, like, to speak to that point, one of the things that you can do is you can just start asking sexual type of questions, but like it's no big deal, right?
Yep.
And starting off with something like, what do you find, like, what's your biggest turn on, sexually, right? And it's like, if you're handling that in such a way as it's not a big deal, you're demonstrating all of those things as well, right? It's like you said with the story, like, I went on a couple of, did one night stands, whatever. Like, it's like you're demonstrating all those things, that you're not judgmental, that you're comfortable, that you're used to this, that, because once you start talking about those things, then it's sort of opened up that barrier where now it's not a big deal because you're treating it not like a big deal. And a lot of guys will be like, well, wait a minute, I'm going to sit here at a restaurant or whatever, like on a first date, and just start asking her what turns her on. Yes, you are going to do that because that's going to demonstrate, it's going to seem a little bit weird, but it's going to demonstrate that you're just total, like, this is just normal conversation shit that you talk about. And you can get into a lot of details, and a lot of women will share a lot of details, but you can guarantee that if you're going that direction, then at the end of the night, it's not going to be a weird fucking thing because you've already talked about it, right? And you've already demonstrated, like you said there, like, that's just one way of demonstrating that you're cool with it. You're not a judgmental guy. You're not a beta guy that's going to be like, judging her. I forgot, there was some movie where I was watching like a couple months ago where the guy was, no, it's not a movie. It's a book. In 1984, actually, right? So there's a scene in 1984 where one of the characters, or no, Brave New World. That's what it is. Brave New World, right? There's a scene in there where the guy is trying to hook up with this girl, right? And he at some point, like, she invites him back to her apartment, and she starts getting sexual with him, and then he goes fucking psycho on her and like tries to beat her up because she's a slut, right? And it's like, even though he was like, because he felt like he was a sinner or whatever, and she was bad and wrong, and it's like, I thought that was just like the perfect example. That's what women are watching out for, is if you show any kind of sign of being a fucking white knight, they're not going to, they're going to play exactly the opposite of, like, they're going to play down their sexuality completely.
100%. Like when a chick meets you, man, like, she's sizing you up like right away. Like, girls know guys that are good with women and guys that aren't. And if you show any type of behavior that this isn't natural to you, or you don't deal with beautiful women on a regular basis, or you're like like I said, like a white knight or whatever, like, she's immediately going to sell you purity. Because here's the thing. Alpha males, they'll sit there and supplicate to women. alpha males don't sit there and say, oh, I'm a male feminist. I agree with, I believe all women. They don't say stupid shit like that because they operate like they understand that like women are human too. Women can lie too. And both genders lie, both, you know, and there's bad people on both genders. You know, women aren't sugar and spice and everything nice. There's, you know, there's bad people on both spectrums of the genders. So when you show that you're not like an idiot, you're not a sheep that, you know, gets the wool pulled over their eyes, like, you know, anything a woman says you'll believe, she's going to respect you more for it because she's going to understand that you understand females, which means you probably know how to deal with females from a romantic sense. And then most importantly, you're not going to judge her for being sexual with you because this is common. You know what I mean? Like women, shout out to Rolo, he says this all the time. Women just want you to get it, man. If they have to explain anything to you about being a man or being good with women, you're done because they don't want to have to take that burden of performance and sexualize for you. Because like I said, women are never going to do anything that's going to further implicate that they might be promiscuous because that goes against their ability to sell purity, like we discussed earlier. So if you come on a date and you're like, yeah, you know, I've had like, even though this might be unflattering to some girls, but like deep down, if you say, yeah, I've had a lot of one night stands or whatever, or I've hooked up with girls, but I'm kind of not looking for that anymore. You know, she's going to be like, man, this gets it. You know what I'm saying? Because most guys don't, you know, and let's face it, when you go on a first date, 9 out of 10 times, what's going on? It's literally like poker. It's like her trying to figure you out, you trying to figure her out. But if you just kind of put your foot right in the ring and say, yeah, this isn't like a big deal for me. I hook up with girls all the time. She's going to be a little bit more open up to you as well. And it's always better that way when she opens up and understands that you're a sexual person. She's a sexual person. She doesn't have to play that gimmick of lying to you.
Yep, 100%. Let me see. There was a good thing here a good question here that I kind of wanted to talk about because I think this is good, especially with you being in Miami and you know probably dealing with this a lot. Mert says, "Hey John, just joined your group. How do you display high financial value without flat out bragging? If you have 4 investment properties living below your means to keep progressing." So real quick, guys, by the way, what he's talking about, group Bulldog Mindset membership, I've got a link down below, $7 for the first month, and you can get all the stuff that I can't talk about here on YouTube, which we're talking about a lot of stuff here on YouTube, so you can just imagine what that stuff is. But it'll definitely get me banned on YouTube if I talk about it. So.
They're probably going to get banned next soon. They're going to read this algorithm and be like, whoa, you know?
Yeah. Which, real quick here, before you get to this, I was going to say that what you just said, I just lost my train of thought, but that's why women hate what we're doing, teaching guys game, is because they want guys to just get it. And we're helping guys who don't just get it to appear as if they just get it.
Yeah.
To just get it, right? I mean, but women always want a guy that just knows what to do and, you know, doesn't have to be told and doesn't have to be coached. And so that's why they hate so much what we're doing.
Yeah, because here's the other thing too, why they hate guys like us, because let's face it, a lot of women bank on the fact that you're too stupid to realize your own value as a guy. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're a 30-year-old man, right, and you make a certain amount of money per year, you're very successful, whatever it may be, the last thing a woman wants to tell you is, hey, keep going out there and dating girls and like you're at your peak value. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna say, oh, you need to settle down. You're getting old. You need to marry me. You know, I had my fun when I was 18, but you know, you don't need to know that you're at your highest value right now. Like, no, you need to settle down. And there's nothing more dangerous to single women than a guy that knows his value, because a guy that knows his value, knows where he stands in the hierarchy, where he is from a socioeconomic status, whatever it may be, he's not going to sit there and tolerate bad behavior or supplicate to women. And that is dangerous because let's face it, a lot of women, like especially the most attractive ones, they bank on the fact that you're too stupid to realize your own value so that they can trap you, whether it's in a relationship, in a marriage, in some kind of arrangement, whatever it may be. They're banking on you being an idiot and not knowing your worth. So if you do know your worth, that is one of the biggest threats to women, because like I told you, they're purity dealers. But when you pull the fucking wool back and you realize that they're just trying to sell you purity, then they can't really run their game on you. And a lot of women bank on the fact that most men don't have game, which is true. Most guys are not aware of how things really are.
Yep, 100%. All right, so so what do you think about this? What do you think about like how to display, you know, the high financial value without bragging? I think this is always a challenge because you've got the, you know, the resources it's good. Like it's definitely a benefit. But if you just go out and just, brag about it, you're gonna appear more beta. So
Yeah. So with this, and John, I'm interested because I think actually no, me and John have talked about this on the side. Me and him have an identical view on this. If you have expendable income, you need to covertly demonstrate it. You can't overtly tell a chick, I got $100,000 in the bank, or I got $1 million in the, like, you can't do that, man. That's going to turn her off. So how you do this is simple stuff. Let's say you live in a nice part of town. Tell her, hey, meet me at in my apartment lobby. We'll walk over to the bar, right? Just the fact that you live in a downtown metropolitan area is going to signify that you have some money. Then when you go on a date, because I always talk about, like, there's 3 points in a date where a woman has the most anxiety. One of them is when she first meets you. And then the second is when the check comes, because when the check comes, she knows where you really stand. And the thing is that, guys, you guys got to understand is that girls have been on way more dates than you probably have.
Yeah.
Or whatever. So girls have had a lot of bad experiences on these dating apps, especially like Tinder, Bumble, whatever, where guys will say, hey, do you mind paying for this? Or, hey, do you mind splitting the bill? Whatever. And I don't care what any girl tells you, the strongest feminist is still going to expect you to pick up the check every single time. Women are hardwired to look for security. So if you tell her, let's split this, or, hey, can you send me $20 on Venmo so we can split this? Like, it's going to make her lose attraction for you. So like I said, going on a date, you handle objections. So one of the biggest objections is this guy secure and have his life together? A nice way to do it covertly is when the check comes, you just put your fucking card down and you don't even look at the receipt, and you let the waiter take it, and you basically, that does two things. One, it demonstrates that you clearly have expendable income. It's not a big deal. Two, shows that you're in a leadership role. And then three, most importantly, that she doesn't have to worry about the financial portion of the date. Because a lot of these girls will go out on dates with you guys with like 2 cents in their bank account, and they're like, man, I hope he doesn't tell me to split this. So
exactly. Yeah.
So you're going to alleviate a lot of those stresses right off rip. And then she's going to be, and I always say, when a woman is comfortable and relaxed, and I mean from, like, a safety standpoint, she could be more in her feminine. But when she's in her masculine, that automatically means that she's stressed to some degree. And her paying is her being in her masculine. So these are some covert ways that you could demonstrate higher value and show that you have that financial stability without outright being an idiot about it, or telling her, I make this much money. Also, dressing well, being well groomed. It's all in your mannerisms, man. Like, guys that have money, they move a little bit differently. They have then air of confidence that really can't be. It's very difficult to fake. So when you do little covert things like this, where you're like paying for the check and not even looking at it, she's gonna know, okay, this guy probably has some coin, and I don't got to worry about anything.
Yeah, no, I agree totally, and especially with the check, like that's how I always recommend guys do it. Is just like, you're gonna pay the fucking check anyway, so don't even fucking look at it. Like, because I mean, and then guys are like, oh, I gotta check to make sure they charge you right. It's like, okay, all right, so they charge you $7 more for the fucking appetizer. Come on, put the fucking check down. You can deal with that later. Yeah. If you really care about your $7, you can call them up later and whatever. But I think the other piece, like, that's a good one for guys on dates like that, is that ask the girl what she wants, like what she's going to get from the menu, and then when the waiter or waitress comes by, you order it for her. You say she'll have, right? And so many guys do not have the balls to do that. And you might get a negative reaction even from the waiter or whatever. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, that's the whole point of, like, being an alpha guy that doesn't give a fuck, is that you're going to do that shit anyway. And she may even react negatively afterwards, in which case, she might be like, I can order for myself. And you're like, all right, go ahead. Whatever. Like, you just let her, like, you just treat it as like, okay, like she's a child.
She probably won't, because she's gonna know, like, I can't challenge this guy's frame. And here's the other thing too: when it's implied that you're paying, she ain't gonna argue with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, she's not gonna. You know what? That just brought up a good point. So let's say she orders. She's like, oh, I want to get vodka soda, right? Some shit like that. And she says, I'll have a Tito soda. What you can do is you can tell her, no, you're not gonna have a Tito soda. You're gonna have a Grey Goose soda. And then you'll tell the waiter, but you're gonna increase the shelf level of the alcohol that she's ordering. And that's another covert demonstration of higher value. And you're going to tell her, no, that's trash. We're going to do Grey Goose soda. And what that also implies, expendable income, higher status, higher value, whatever. Now, is it a little bit cocky? A tiny bit, but you're doing it like in a way where, no, try this. It's a lot better. You won't get a hangover. Trust me. And then boom, get the higher shelf stuff. And then that's also going to imply that you have expendable income. So these are all ways to covertly demonstrate that you have expendable income without coming off like, an ostentatious idiot or a simp, And for the guys out here, because I know people are going to say, these guys are teaching you how to simp, blah, 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 blah. Listen, I always say this, man. You don't pay on the date to simp. You don't pay on the date for the woman. You pay on the date for yourself, because when you pay on the date, it demonstrates so many different things about you in an attractive light that that it's worth it. And quite frankly, it's better to pay and go out on one date than take her out on 3. You know what I'm saying? If you do it right, the first day should be when you close. So, these guys said, I don't want to, I'm going to take her on just a date where we walk around and I don't spend any money. Good job. You're probably not going to get laid though. And then you're going to have to, and no matter what, you're going to have to pay the piper at some point. You're going to probably have to take her out on a second date, maybe even a third date, whatever. And then when you do the math, you're probably spending the most amount of money. So why not do it? Why not make the first impression the best impression and get laid that night? You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
and you can't be a high value male if you're like trying to worry about fucking spending money on, what I mean? Like if that's your problem, you need to learn to make some money first, because that's like you're just faking it anyway. Like your value is going to be capped by that anyway. And it's, it should not be a big deal for you. And if it is still a big deal, then hey, then you got some shit to work on.
Yeah, if money is a problem for you guys like that, where like spending $50 to $100 on a first date is a problem, like then you know what? I think you need to reassess your priorities, and you shouldn't be watching this stuff. You need to go watch Graham Stephan or something and get your money straight. You know what I'm saying? Like you shouldn't even be on here, because quite frankly, dating is a privilege. You know what I'm saying? It's not a right; it's a privilege. So and that's something that you do once you have everything else in your life set together. This is for the guys that they got their money right, they're living well, but now they want to start bringing women in. Well, this is the best way to do it, where you're not wasting time. Because quite frankly, guys, wasting time and going out on a bunch of different dates that are free, I think that's worse than spending $100 to hang out with one chick and closing, personally. Because one thing that I've learned about successful people spend money to save time. Yeah, poor people spend time to save money. That's the difference.
Yep.
So and you got to put some respect on your time, man. Go ahead, John.
Yeah. And with that said, you should just be a generous person in general, right? You should be like taking people out to dinner, like offering to pay just whoever you're with. You should be tipping people highly. Like you should be a person who takes care of people. And then it will be then you'll be demonstrating that. And it's going to like, you're going to leave this little trail of like places you go, you know what I mean? Tipping the doorman, tipping the waitress, right? Everywhere you go within your little 5-mile radius, like people are going to know who you are, and they're going to act in a way that demonstrates that you're of a high value guy. The other thing I guess I'd say about it, like with the covert like demonstrations of value, is that again, this is not necessarily something you have to do, but there's a reason why certain watches cost $100,000, and it's not because they're made of higher quality shit. Right? It's so that you can demonstrate high financial value without having to say, hey, look, I make a lot of money. That says it for you. The same thing with a nice car, a high-rise apartment, right? All of those things that you would spend money on. In fact, that's why, again, like, why do you pay $3,000 for a table at a nightclub to drink, vodka that you could just buy yourself, right? It's only because you're demonstrating that value. Now, I'm not saying that you should necessarily like just pimp yourself out with all kinds of gaudy shit to demonstrate it, but it's like if you can buy that stuff and it doesn't fade, it's like it doesn't fucking matter. That's where it's like a super high value demonstration, and that's why those things are so expensive, because those things are ways of saying, because those things solve the problem that men that Mert is bringing up here, that men have had for a long time, and that solves the problem. Is because if you just have that, if you have $100,000 watch on your wrist, you don't have to say anything or do anything. Like that's clearly, showing that you have the money. So
yeah, man. And like I said, and this is why we talked about this on our podcast as well. Like, John, this is what I'm saying. Guys that are good with women have universal traits. So when you're going out on a date, right, you should be taking her to places that you're familiar with, where like the waiters or the bartenders know you, so that when they come up and they call you by first name or whatever it may be, that shows off rip that you have social proof. And quite frankly, guys, women value social proof a lot, a lot. You know what I mean? So if you're on a date with her and you're at a bar and they treat you well, they give you preferential treatment, whatever it may be, that speaks volumes for you as a man, because let's keep it real. The only people that get good treatment at bars and clubs are women. So if as a guy you're able to do it, it's immediately gonna separate you from the pack. You know what I'm saying? And also it's gonna show, like I said, because that means you probably tip well, all these things, and these are all attractive traits. And I talked about this on one of my things. You never want to be an overt cheapskate, okay? Now, if you want to be frugal and everything like that, that's cool. I'm not saying don't save money. I mean, I'm a hardcore minimalist myself. However, I don't, when I'm out on a date with a chick, like that's the last thing I want to display is that I'm like some like overt cheapskate. Like the check comes and I'm like, all right, yes, pay your half. You know, I'm like, no, you don't want to do that because that, especially when you have the money, it makes you look worse. You know what I mean? Like it's one thing if you're broke, that's one thing. But if you have the money and you're cheap, that no one likes a cheapskate, man. No one.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Totally agree. In fact, what you can do, guys, if you have like a place you frequent often, like a bar or something, you know, like let's say you have a little nightclub that you go to or lounge or bar or whatever, go find the hottest waitress or bartender there and like and over the course of a couple of weeks or months, every time order a drink from her, you know, order like a $5 or $7 drink and then give her a $10 tip, right? You know, or a $20 tip if you want to, right? You do that enough times, then what's going to happen is when you're there, as soon as you walk into that place, she's going to be calling you by name, right?
Yep.
She's like, there'll be other people waiting at the bar and she will ignore them, right? They've been waiting before you even got there and immediately give you your drink without you even asking for it,
That's
right?
huge.
And it's like that's going to put you in such a, especially if you bring a girl up to the bar and then you know the bartender is flirting with you, like
Mhm.
you're just solid. Like, and you can do the same thing with restaurants, right? You know, tip the maitre d', tip the hostess, right? Like give them, you know, a nice solid tip, and then as soon as they see you, they're going to call you out by name. They're going to like take you to the best table. Like all this is like setting yourself up to be in a good position. And it's just like, and again, this is not necessarily even just a tactic, but you should just be treating people like this in general. If you do, you know, you're going to get so much. In fact, you guys see, I mean, heck, we preach it, right? Because you see us a lot of times on live streams, on each other's live streams, or some, you know, like what's his name just came in here, Solo just came in here and he's like, here's $10. You know what I mean? It's like I don't really care about his $10. He doesn't, but it's like a sign of respect. It's like being generous, right? It's like
Exactly.
I'm in there, I'm watching a live stream, I'm gonna send Rollo $20. I'm gonna send, you know, Richard $20 or whatever. You know, it's like because you can see that guys that get it, that's what they do. They do this all the time because that's just how we operate, right? That's
Absolutely.
you know.
And here's the other thing too, because I knew this was going to come. This guy in the chat, Cena Sucks 115. And don't worry, did you know, man? I'm going to answer your question as well. I know you asked it earlier about me and foreign women. Cena Sucks asked, and he goes in here. There are a lot of dudes who get the cat for free with no dates. This dude is a simp. And I knew someone was going to say this. Listen, Cena Sucks 115. Let me tell you something, brother. You making a statement like that, I already know off rip that you're not dealing with bad chicks. Because the thing you got to understand is that when you're dealing with the top tier women, the most attractive women, they have a load of options: professional athletes, celebrities, social media cloud juggernauts. So if you want to compete with these men, you got to understand that there's a cost to doing business to get the most attractive women. You understand? So I'm not telling you, oh, go out there and pay her money or any of this other stuff. No, don't simp like that. But you got to understand that when you go on a date, that's why I always say, if the date is successful, it's your fault. If it fails, it's your fault. When she goes on a date with you, it's an extension of you as the man. You understand? So you got to make the experience pleasurable, and making the experience pleasurable means you're controlling all factors in the date. Okay, you're not telling girls that are 8s, 9s, and 10s, bro. They don't even, a lot of them don't even own wallets that actually have money in them. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how I know for a fact that you don't deal with attractive women. You're probably banging some fat chicks or some loser chicks that you're getting a cat for free. But if you're dealing with the top echelon of women, bro, it's a foregone conclusion that you're gonna plan a date and pay and all this stuff. That's how I know you don't deal with hot girls, bro. Like, get out of here with that. Like, a girl that comes straight to your place or like isn't trying to. All hot girls leverage their sexuality for some kind of compliance, whether it's resources, time, whatever. You as the player, being good with women, minimize that as best you can. Okay. So, but at some point, you're going to have to put some kind of resource in there, whether it's your time, a date, whatever it may be, drinks, whatever. But if you can keep that minimized, that's a testament to how good you are with women. But Cena, that's how I know you're dealing with ugly, low value chicks, bro.
and the key is this: it's like, yeah, you know what he's saying is true. Like you could get, like, it's just like this, right? I could go and I could pirate someone's $500 course. I could go pirate John MLD John, whatever he's selling. I could go and download it, right? I could figure out how to. I could go into a department store and I could shoplift shit, and and I could think that I'm getting away. But guess what? Here's the reason why I don't like download free music like off of Napster anymore, or whatever the fuck that you use. And I don't even know what the app is, LimeWire or whatever, whatever, torrent it. Okay, I don't torrent shit, right? You know why? Because it's more effort for me to go and find something to torrent it than it is for me to just pay a fucking pull out my credit card and pay $100.
Yeah.
Right. And so so like I get it. Like, yeah, you could totally pull it off. Like, and especially if you're like higher value than the chick, and if you're like in the top percentage of looks, right? And you can just invite a chick over to your place or whatever, just to the bar, and like you can finagle it. Sure, I know that you can finagle it potentially, but and again, to go with what Myron said here, probably you can't, because you can't even fucking spell. So if you can't type and I'll tell you guys, like, if you're gonna type something, like use fucking proper punctuation. I don't know how many emails I get where it's like, dude, like I know so much about you just by how you fucking type. But anyway, my point is,
like you guy that's like an alpha on the internet, but like if I put a bad chick in front of you, you wouldn't know what to say to her, bro. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, how I know you don't deal with hot chicks, bro. Like when you deal with the top echelon of women, like whatever. I don't even know why we're paying this guy attention.
Well, I mean, I think the point is it's like, because it shouldn't matter. Like, you should be high enough value where you don't give a fuck. Like, you see what I'm saying? It's like, if you're thinking about how you can like not pay for shit, you're not alpha. Like, your fucking mindset is not alpha. Like, you're not going to get badass chicks. Not even because like you have to take them out on dates, because your mindset is wrong, right? Like, you could totally pull it off, except that I already know from hearing from what you said, that you're trying to do that you just don't have the right mindset, because it should be not a big deal. You know what I mean? Like, you should be enough of a man that's not a big deal.
He just said, oh, in my third world country, 9s and 10s are very scarce. All right, bro. So like, you live in a third, bro, come to Miami with that mindset. I'm not spending no money. I'm going to get the baddest chicks. Fuck out of here, bro. You don't know what you're talking about, man. Like, I hate keyboard warriors that come in here, clearly no receipts, don't deal with no bad chicks, but you guys want to sit here and try to exert your limited knowledge. Oh, I get 7s, 8s in my third world country. All right, dude, come to Miami and try to do that. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why so many men leave the West. The reason why so many guys go to the West, they go to Colombia, Eastern Europe, Philippines, whatever, is because the sexual marketplace is tough here, guys. Boo fucking who. You can either adapt with the times and get better, or you can leave, or you can be like you, be a keyboard warrior and talk about, I'm not simping, I'm dealing with 7, 8s, and 9s in my third world country. Like, bro, get out of here. You wouldn't last 2 seconds in Miami. You know what I'm saying? So, real quick. So, because Did You Know Matt asked earlier, and he gave you a super chat. He asked me about foreign women. Guys, I don't intend to get married anytime soon. If I do, it would be, I'd probably go back to the Middle East, find a wife, and then, bring her back, and then, we'd get married with an imam or whatever. But I'm not even thinking about that right now. So, that plan is always changing as the times change. So that is open to change, to answer Digi's question. And then I see we got another super chat here. I got to run real soon, but like we'll answer this last one.
Okay, yeah. Eddie Daniels, $10. Thanks, Eddie. He says style is important, but I disagree with the idea of leading with high financial value. That risks setting you up as a beta provider. If you're already a Chad or Tyrone, having money is extra credit.
What do you think about this, John?
I mean, I think that, like, I see where so many guys, okay, all the MGTOW guys and like a lot of the red pill guys have drilled into your head that you don't want to be a beta provider, a male beta provider. Most of you guys can't even reach that status. Like, you're worrying about shit that's never going to happen to you because you're not even high enough value. You know what I mean? Like, if you really have money, then you're thinking of ways to protect it. And again, like, being someone who does have some money, what makes sense, right, is that, okay, so you can have a lot of money. You can have a Rolex on your wrist. You can be, flashing that you're high value and you have a lot of net worth. But what you have to do is make sure that you're showing that you're not using that in order to gain something, right? It's just like, again, like when Myron was saying, oh, you're not going to have a Tito's, you're going to have fucking Grey Goose, right? When you say that, okay, you're saying it coming from the frame of, I have money, I don't care, like, you know what I mean, like, I take care of people that I want to take care of, like, it's
Exactly.
not a big deal, right? The same thing when you're just putting your credit card down on the check, right? But when you're indicating, like let's say that you have money and you're leading with high financial, and you're like, hey, why don't you come out to my yacht, you know, I'm gonna have a bunch of food there and all the booze you can drink or whatever, like, and you're bribing someone with your money, you're offering, you're trying to get something with that money. Or same thing going on a date. If you like take a girl to a nice dinner and it's clear that you're doing it in order to get sex, right? Now you're setting up the precedent. It's how the interaction goes is what matters, not the idea of whether or not you're demonstrating that you have money. It's fine. You're not going to get taken advantage of unless you allow yourself, right? So if some chick is like, oh, this guy has a lot of money, I'm gonna take advantage of him, she's read something from you that indicates that she could do that, and then it's still up to you to let her or not, right? If she's actually doing stuff that, like, if she's acting up and then she's like requesting financial resources from you, or trying to do, and you're allowing that to happen, then you're allowing it to happen. Whereas the opposite, a lot of times, if you have money, she's going to be like, I better not fuck it up with this guy, because this guy has money, he has resources. Like, she may even, in fact, if you do it right, I'll tell you this. This is a gold answer for you. If you do it right, then the more that you demonstrate that you have money, the more the chick is going to try and pay for shit and buy you stuff and give you gifts. Okay. Because why is she going to do that? Think about this, guys. Why is she going to do that? Because she knows that you're super high value, and she wants to make sure that you know that she is not taking advantage of you. So she's going to bend over backwards to pay for her own shit, to actually buy you stuff, right? To try and almost bribe you, because she wants to clearly demonstrate that she's not a gold digger, right? Because she knows that you won't tolerate that, right? So she's trying to stay in your good graces, because as soon as she thinks that she's got the perception from you, which you've given her, that if she tries to pull some shit off on you and try to siphon from you, that you're just going to cut her loose. So that's the indicator. If you see a girl trying to buy you shit, trying to take care of you, trying to pay for shit for you, when it's clear that you're well above her means, then you're doing it right.
Boom. Bro, honestly, class is in session, guys. John just gave you guys a clinic right there. Like, as far as, like, that's the difference with, you know, when you're high value, a girl's gonna, and when you pay for how you acquire the girl is everything. You know, just like John said, oh, come on my boat, oh, you hang out with me or my rich friend. Like, no. But if you're meeting her on a date, one-on-one, she's already invested in you. She got pretty to come to you. She drove to you. She showed up. You know, she put you at the front of the line with everyone else. You always reward compliance. So she shows up on a date investing in you, because you guys got to remember, girls take hours to get ready. So she's already invested. So you're rewarding that good behavior with, you know, I'll pay for your drink. You know what I'm saying? But I will say this, I got to run, John, because we got to do the Fresh and Fit podcast.
Okay. Oh, I thought that was an hour from now. Okay, yeah, you got to do it now.
We started at 6. But yeah, no, man, jump in, dude. Okay. It's gonna be 10 signs she belongs to the streets.
Okay. All right, guys, join us over there. We're gonna switch over there.
A great combo. This was a lot of gems. I hope you guys like save this or whatever. Make sure you know, like, comment, subscribe. Like, man, this was good.
Let me just pull this up real quick here. Thank you, Leo. He says, keep up the good work. And guys, sign up for the BDMS. That's the Bulldog Mindset. Well worth it. I have no affiliation with John. So I appreciate that. Appreciate the plug there. And one last thing I want to say real quick. I know we're going to jump over, but just one final point on this, because a lot of guys are calling us simps now because we're talking about this, which is this, is that, like, don't think of it as girls, right? If some rich guy, right, super successful businessman, takes you out to dinner, right, and you know, you kind of expect that he's gonna like roll out the carpet for you, right, and you're gonna think of him as a good host, right? You're gonna see him as super high, even more high value, based on the fact that he's just like, don't worry about it, I'll take care of the bill, I'll get you an Uber, I'll take you over here, you know what I mean? Like, taking care of all kinds of financial shit for you, because you're going to see that as high value based on, because he's not trying to get anything from you. You're a low value guy. Like what, you're being treated by someone who's high value. And if you sense that he was trying to like sell you something, like as a salesperson, that would be totally different. But anyway,
it's a power play, man. This guy, like guys like Cena sucks. Like I could tell they don't have social acuity. You know what I'm saying? Like they're looking at it from how the woman benefits versus looking at how it benefits them. You know what I'm saying? And that's a telltale sign of a guy that's like just doesn't have the social IQ. You know what I mean? Like it is what it is. But yeah. No,
all right, guys.
Jump over, John. Come on over if you want. And yeah, guys, 10 signs she belongs to the streets. We're gonna have it on my channel right now.
Okay. Link is below.
Yeah. Thank you, John.
All right. Yep. See ya.
All right, brother. Peace.